Once just shadows and forest legends, now wild boars have stepped into the light, bringing with them a real nightmare. In Colorado, they're breeding out of control, tearing through crops, invading homes, and threatening lives. No one sees it as a joke anymore. The hunt begins, not for sport, but for survival. And today we follow those who've taken on this silent war between man and beast. Wild boars, from deep forest legends to a present nightmare in Colorado. Wild boars, once merely the stuff of tales from the deep woods, have become a real menace in Colorado. Breeding uncontrollably, they've spread from forest edges into residential areas and farms, causing severe damage to crops, property, and even threatening human safety. Initially, the damage was minor, just a few scratches on cornfields. But over time, herds of boars began appearing in droves, ravaging the land at night like a relentless flood. Faced with this crisis, hunting is no longer just a passion. It has become a duty to protect land, crops, and livelihoods. The hunt that day was meticulously prepared. Weapons were carefully cleaned, and each bullet was thoroughly inspected. The hunting dogs seemed to sense the tense atmosphere as well. The group moved into an area showing strong signs of wild boar activity, where footprints were etched into the mud and grass was uprooted, serving as undeniable evidence. Hearts pounded in every chest like a bowstring ready to snap. Before them lay a freshly harvested cornfield, flat and sprawling, perfect for an ambush. As expected, just a few minutes later, a large wild boar emerged, slowly moving along the field's edge. One hunter raised his rifle, took aim, steadied his breath, then pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, the animal was hit, and it collapsed on the spot. "Good, keep moving," someone said. Though excitement quickly spread through the group, everyone understood this was only the beginning. The whole group shifted direction, advancing toward the hills behind. Rugged terrain filled with rocks and tall grass, an ideal spot for wild boars to rest during the day. One member took a high vantage point, perfect for a clear view. Soon after, a dark shadow bolted down the slope, heading for the dense bushes below. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger. The animal was hit, tumbling down, its heavy body flattening the grass in its wake. Right after, the hunters were startled to see a herd of wild boars charging down the opposite hill like a flood, their hooves shaking the ground. One hunter raised his rifle, and after a few tense seconds, he took down one boar, causing the herd to panic and scatter. He then shot and felled another, and the remaining boars fled in terror, disappearing into the forest as silence returned. Right at that moment, the group of hunters, fueled by a surge of determination, immediately charged after the direction where the wild boar herd had vanished, their hearts pounding with the thrill of the chase, the instinct of the hunt coursing through their veins. As soon as they set foot in the forest, the hunting team split up, each moving silently through the thick trees. The air was tight with tension. They knew that somewhere in the underbrush, the wild boars were hiding, alert, fierce, and ready to fight back at any moment. The pack of wild boars scattered in panic as the hunting dogs charged after them, forcing them to break formation. The hunters, eyes locked with determination, closed in, dead set on letting none escape. A wild boar was cornered by the pack of hunting dogs, snarling fiercely in the chaotic standoff. Suddenly, it broke free and charged straight toward a hunter. In a split second of tension, 3 shots rang out. It wasn't until the final one that the boar collapsed, gasping in the middle of the forest clearing. One wild boar made a desperate attempt to escape, but the hunters were already lying in wait. It suddenly picked up speed, slammed into one of them, and kept charging forward, still fighting for its chance to break free. Moments later, they spotted another wild boar. Without hesitation, the hunter raised his rifle. One clean shot rang out, and the boar dropped instantly. After a long chase, one of the hunters came across a wild boar trying to stay hidden. He waited in silence, steady and patient. The moment the boar turned to flee, the hunter pulled the trigger. The shot hit true, dropping the boar on the spot as it tumbled to the ground. Moments later, another wild boar appeared, this time from a different direction, but heading straight to the same spot. The hunter held his position, calm and ready. As the moment came, he pulled the trigger once more. In just seconds, 2 wild boars had been taken down at the very same location. After nearly an hour, they moved to lower ground, flat, open, and perfect for spotting targets from a distance. Here, the hunting dogs proved their worth. Fewer trees meant fewer hiding spots for prey, but it also forced the hunters to move with extreme caution, nearly silent. Suddenly, a wild boar burst from the edge of a bush, just steps away. One hunter, acting on instinct, raised his rifle and fired. The shot hit true and the animal collapsed in a cloud of dust. The moment lasted mere seconds, but it felt like facing a wild beast head-on. No time to pause. He spotted another target, fired, and the bullet pierced its neck, dropping it instantly. Suddenly, the hunting dogs erupted into a frenzy of barking, shattering the silence. They had caught wind of a wild boar hiding deep in the bushes. Within seconds, the entire pack surged forward, launching into a breathtaking chase. The hunters watched in awe, a raw, powerful scene of nature in motion. They split up once again, determined to track down the remaining boars.
Samen.
As dusk fell, the group stayed crouched at the edge of the bushes, eyes constantly scanning the area. A creature appeared in their sights. The hunter stepped back, maintained distance, aimed, and pulled the trigger. The shot was perfectly precise. The animal collapsed without a chance to react. At the Denizli Siverol farm in the state of Turkey, November used to be a season of harvest filled with laughter. But this year, wild boars have destroyed everything. Every ear of corn bitten, trampled, and left in ruin. Fueled by frustration and anger, the local hunters decided it was time to act. At dawn, they set out in their familiar hunting truck, heading straight for the vast fields of Denizli Sibling. Within just 10 minutes, a few wild boars appeared. One shot rang out, but the animal kept charging forward. Thankfully, the hunting dogs closed in. The target was locked. Soon after, more boars were spotted. The team moved with precision, cutting off escape routes, raising their rifles. 2 shots, 2 animals down. Perfect. Just minutes later, another boar burst across the field. The whole team held their breath, crouching low in the tall grass. A shot rang out. Once again, the target dropped before it had a chance to react. Elsewhere, John was in a tense pursuit. With seasoned skill, he quickly took down his target. The wild boars here are especially bold and aggressive. Some even charge straight at humans. But the hunters remain calm, reacting fast with deadly precision. Suddenly, a noise erupts from the opposite side. The ground trembles. Another beast shoots out like an arrow. But this time, it doesn't stand a chance. The seasoned marksmen are already locked and ready. Gunfire shatters the air. The animal drops instantly, collapsing in the middle of the field. Before they could even rest, news came in. A herd of wild boars was hiding in a nearby cornfield. Without hesitation, they set out again. Just minutes later, chaos erupted. The boars poured out like a flood. Amid gunfire and shouted commands, they managed to bring down only one. But they knew this hunt wasn't over, and they would return tomorrow.